Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget, which is same as UK-led under another guise. We recall that UK-led is one of the items named in the specified expenditure listed in Schedule 1, Part C of the year 2018 Appropriation Law, requiring the approval of the House before expending. This is yet to be sought as far as we know. 5, there is a need to create the sum of 1 billion high tension power for hospitals in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget to provide steady and reliable electric power supply from the 33 kVA high tension source for some hospitals in the state. 6, there is a need to create a sum of 5 billion special expenditure order in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. 7, there is a need to move the sum of 1 billion naira from the vote line capital receipt inflow of Lands Bureau to the CRF and its capital development outflow of 1 billion and capital expenditure of 1,262,408,901 naira to the special expenditure in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget because documents requested for were not provided. As a matter of fact, they did not appear during the appointed period of the appropriation session. They only came during the make-up session, and key documents requested were not submitted. 8, there is the need to increase the capital expenditure of special expenditure head by 5 billion naira. 9, there is a need to increase the overhead of the Resilience Office by 54 million naira to enable the office perform its duties efficiently. 10, there is a need to reduce the revenue CRF of the vote line Ministry of Finance by 6,112,802,000 naira because in the year 2017, 5,135,936,942 naira was collected and 6,008,945,804 naira was collected in 2018. 11, there is the need to increase the overhead of the Internal Revenue Service of the state by 1.3 billion in accordance to the law establishing it. Section 13A of the Lagos State Revenue Administration Law Cap L59 Laws of Lagos State 2015 stipulates that Lagos Internal Revenue Service LIRS should be given between 5 and 10% of revenue collected in the previous year as administrative charge or cost of collection. This increase will bring the figure to the 5% mark. 12, there is the need to reduce the proposed revenue of the Lagos State Public Procurement Agency by 500 million as the provision for the capital expenditure has reduced and a large chunk of it is ongoing project rather than new ones. Also, according to the Lagos State Procurement Agency law, PPA should be a first-line charge. 13, the need to increase the subvention of Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency by 97 million so as to engender its effective takeoff and efficient operation. 14, there is the need to increase the dedicated revenue and dedicated expenditure of Lagos State Pension Commission by 15 million. 15, there is a need to provide 2 billion for urban renewal and regeneration of VI, Ikoyi, and Ikeja head and increase the capital expenditure by 15 billion in the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure to enable government to meet obligations to contractors on ongoing projects so as not to stall development in the state nor increase the unemployment gap in the society. 16, there is a need to remove the sum of 2 billion naira from the capital expenditure of the Lagos State Infrastructure Asset Management Agency. This is because the agency has refused to provide the project status brief for the asset register for which the fund is earmarked. 17, there is a need to increase the subvention overhead of Public Works Corporation by 100 million to further cater for operational expenses. 18, there is a need to implement the new financial, Mr. Speaker, as discussed. Can I skip 18 and 19, please? I go to number 20. There is the need to increase the capital expenditure of Lagos State Planning Permit Authority, LSHA, by 190 million in order to improve its revenue performance and effectiveness in the delivery of its core mandate of building plan approvals across the 57 local government, LGA and LCDA of Lagos State. 21, there is a need to increase the capital expenditure of Lagos State Building Control Agency by 243,988,053 naira, so as to improve its function of enforcement of building codes as recent collapses in the sector demands. 22, there is a need to reduce the capital expenditure waste management sinking fund in the Ministry of the Environment by 3,285,074,098 naira due to the successful renegotiation of the Irrevocable Standing Payment Order, ISPO, issued by the state government. Although the issuance of a 120-month order was unauthorized by the House of Assembly, but not honoring it will have grave financial backlash on the state's credit status, which is more likely than not to cripple the incoming administration. 13, it was observed that the provision for the payment of community sanitation workers, CSW, who are now working under Lagos Waste Management Authority, LOMA, is currently domiciled in the Ministry of the Environment. Hence, it is necessary to move it to LOMA. Therefore, there is need to reduce the overhead cost of the Ministry of the Environment by 2,974,775,000 naira, precisely from Public Utility Monitoring and Assurance Unit PUMAO, being the sum for the payment of mechanized street sweeping, salaries for the community sanitation workers and supervisors, accident insurance for the community sanitation workers and supervisors, and production of ID card for all the community sanitation workers and supervisors, and add 2,974,775,000 naira to the subvention of Lagos State Waste Management Authority, LOMA. Also, additional 720,674,098 naira be added to the sinking fund to make it 6 billion naira. 24, there is a need to reduce the vote line internally generated revenue of the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency by 60 million, and move same to the dedicated revenue recurrent and dedicated expenditure recurrent. Then reduce its subvention by 50 million in order to tie the overhead available to the agency's performance. 25, there is a need to increase the subvention of the vote line LWC Water Chemical of the Lagos Water Corporation by 500 million and capital expenditure by 1,250 million to make provision for quality water in the state. 26, there is the need to increase the subvention, enlightenment and advocacy in the Lagos Waste Management Authority by the sum of 120 million naira in order to sensitize the general public on the new waste management policy. 27, there is the need to increase the subvention capacity building in the Lagos State Waste Management Authority by the sum of 150 million in order to train and retrain its new and existing staffers to perform optimally and tackle current challenges. 28, it was observed that part of the budgetary provisions for purchase of equipment for landfill sites, operations, and compactors to augment the management of waste by LOMA is embedded in the sinking fund ending under the Ministry of the Environment. Also included in this are funds for school waste and medical waste collection. These should be moved to the Lagos State Waste Management Authority to have all the estimates in one place. Hence, there is a need to increase the subvention of Lagos State Waste Management Authority landfill, Loma landfill by 1 billion, and to increase the capital expenditure of Lagos State Waste Management Authority, Loma, by 2.2 billion for the purchase of 70 compactors. 29. You need to move the sum of 318,674,098 naira for Loma public school waste and 402 million for Loma medical waste for public health facilities, respectively, from the sinking fund domiciled in the Ministry of the Environment to the subvention of Loma. 30. There's a need to increase the revenue of Lagos State Parks and Gardens by 120 million due to its impressive performance in the previous year. 31. There's a need to increase the capital expenditure of the Ministry of Housing by 8,999,664,684 naira. This is to provide ample housing stock for the Ministry of Housing and the Lagos State Mortgage Board to meet the yearnings of Lagosians for affordable housing by completing the numerous ongoing housing projects all over the state. 32. There's a need to delete the sum 5,674,629,444 naira from the provision of traffic infrastructure under Oshodi Interchange in the capital expenditure of the Ministry of Transport, since the project had never received appropriation from this House. 33. There is a need to provide for capital development outflow for the sum of 223,920,917 naira in the Ministry of Transport to cater for the 5% capital receipt inflow to be shared from Motor Vehicle Registration Authority, MVAA, as stipulated by Section 1913 of the Lagos State Transport Sector Reform Law 2018. 34. There is the need to delete the sum of 12 billion naira under capital expenditure in the VOOT line Lagos Bus Service Limited, MEPB. The purchase of the buses have never been approved by this House of Assembly. 35. There is a need to provide for dedicated revenue and dedicated expenditure with the sum of 223,920,917 naira in each head for the 5% of the revenue accrued to the to the Motor Vehicle Administration Agency. 36. There is a need to reduce the overhead cost of Motor Vehicle Administration Agency by 150 million, since they are now to receive 5% of their IGR as dedicated revenue according to their enabling law. 37. There is a need to increase the capital receipt inflow of the Motor Vehicle Administration Agency by 233,920,917 naira. This is to provide for the 5% going to the Ministry of Transport from MVAA. 38. There's a need to have tertiary institution accreditation funds reside with each institution to ensure availability when needed. Therefore, the 195,457,137 naira under capital expenditure being LASUCOM accreditation be moved to LASUCOM. 39. In the year 2018, the Lagos State Scholarship Board only assessed 28,626,773 naira, being 4% of its budgetary provision of 761,839,250 naira for scholarship bursary funds, creating a huge backlog. There is therefore the need to increase the vote line scholarship / bursary fund subvention for the Lagos State Scholarship Board by 204,947,107 naira to cater for these outstanding payments in addition to the year 2019 dues. 40, there is a need for the subvention of the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LSHA, to be increased by 240 million to cater for honoraria of consultants in the hospital. 41, also there is a need to reduce the projected dedicated revenue and expenditure of the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LSHA, by 600 million each, since Care House, on which 1 billion out of the projected revenue was premised, is not fully ready for use 4 months into the year 2019. 42, there is a need to move the IGR of 42,195,000 in the Consolidated Revenue Fund head of Lagos State College of Nursing, Midwifery, and Public Health to its dedicated revenue and dedicated expenditure. 43, there is the need to create vote line LSHA accreditation with a sum of 474 million being the fund spent on LSHA's accreditation last year, which was borrowed from their pension fund. 44, there is a need to remove the 20 million naira in the overhead cost of Lekki MCC since representation was not made and it is known that the location is still under construction. 45, there is a need to provide 20 million as subvention for drugs and medical consumables for Lagos State Accident and Emergency. This is to overcome the challenge of shortage of drugs for the medical outfit. 46, there is the need to specify that the sum of 200 million under capital expenditure for e-health platform for health insurance is to be expended by the Lagos State Health Management Agency, and the expenditure title should now read e-health platform for health insurance, LSHA. This is to ensure that all activities that has to do with health insurance is domiciled with the agency that is saddled with the responsibility. '47. There is a need to increase the revenue of the Ministry of Youth and Social Development by 14 million due to its positive performance in the previous year. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, I would skip the next item. 49, there is a need to increase the overhead by 80 million and capital expenditure by 70 million in the Office of the State Auditor General to enable the office perform optimally. 50, there is the need to increase the overhead of Auditor General for local government by 41,500,000 and to augment the capital expenditure by 193,320,487 naira. 51, there is a need to increase the capital expenditure of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources by 500 million to better fund power and geological services of the ministry. 52, there is a need to increase the personnel cost of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources by 161,919,755 naira to reflect a realistic wage bill, because the figure earlier submitted could barely cover 7 months of personnel payment. 53, the need to increase the overhead cost of Ibilia Oil and Gas Corporation by 31,176,502 naira for optimal performance. 54, there is a need to increase the subvention maintenance of the street lights in the Lagos State Electricity Board by 1,281,326,720 naira. This is expedient because the amount presented can barely cover payment till June 2019. 55, there is a need to increase the capital expenditure installation of street lights in the Lagos State Electricity Board by 1,732,919,059 naira. This is also essential because there is need to pay backlog to contractors and replace equipment to avoid the collapse of the street lighting service in the state. 56. There is a need to reduce the capital expenditure of Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency by 169,860,499 naira for procurement / branding of operational monitoring vehicles. 57. There is the need to provide 42 million as subvention for the Lagos traffic radio to meet its running expenses. 58. There is a need to increase the subvention of Lagos State Records and Archives Bureau by 20 million naira to meet its running costs. 59. There is a need to increase the capital expenditure of the vote line Lagos State High Court in the judiciary by 523,800,000 naira, as this was approved for payment in the previous year, but was not paid and was omitted from the year 2019 budget estimate. 60. There is the need to include in the revenue CRF of the vote line extraordinary revenue federal transfers in the Ministry of Finance by 50 billion, being the estimate of additional refund for road infrastructure from the federal government. 2.6, policy issues.
Honorable, please, you have to skip your policy issues. I don't know the policy you intend to issue, but let us go straight to recommendations. Your recommendation.
Page 32. Recommendation.
No, before you go to recommendation, is your recommendation same with policy issues? Because we have one policy issue here.
Yes, that's.
There is another one at the back again.
The recommendation of the policy recommendation
Are they
is
same?
Yes, we can.
Then go to the last one. You can't repeat what we have read.
Yes. Okay. So I should just go to the
policy issues, the last one.
Issues, okay. Yes, you are correct, Mr. Speaker.
I hope members are with me.
Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, can I just read the summary of the monies as it is before I commence this policy issue?
All right.
Summary 1. The sum of 395,993 million. Sorry, page 36, please. Page 36. Summary. 1. The sum of 395 billion 993 million 387,020 naira be approved as the total recurrent expenditure for the year ending 31st December 2019. 2. The sum of 478 billion 866 million 73,705 naira be approved as the total capital expenditure for the year ending 31st December 2019. And 3, the sum of 874 billion 859 million 460,725 naira be approved at the total budget size for the year ending 31st December 2019. The policy issues that the House should once again direct that abandoned Lagos State Metropolitan Development and Governance Project, LMDGP roads, schools, are completed before the year ending 31st December 2019, at least to the tune of 891,286,225 naira have marked for it in this year 2019 budget. 2. The Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget should ensure accountants and planning officers across MDAs be retrained on the budgeting exercise. 3. The audited account of the state for year 2018 which should contain reconciled details of MDAs be submitted to this House immediately. 4. Henceforth, the commissioners for the Ministries of Economic Planning and Budget and Finance and the Accountant General should forward quarterly reports on the financial status of the state to the House of Assembly, indicating the financial status of the state with respect to revenue, expenditure, debt, and the release of funds to MDAs, starting with the first quarter of year 2019, which is already due. 5, the House should constitute a committee to look into the decline in the 13% derivation of the state from oil exploration. 4, the House should set up a special committee to investigate the expending of the proceeds of the promissory notes without recourse to the House for appropriation. 7, the House should set up a special committee to investigate the discounting of promissory notes without recourse to the House for appropriation. 8, the House should stress the need for funds to be utilized in accordance to their classification in the budget. Dedicated revenue inflows to dedicated expenditure, while capital receipts are inflows to capital expenditure outflows, and should be made available to the MDAs to the amount they have generated with regard to any extant law as the case may be. That a PPP asset library where all assets approved by the House of Assembly for the public-private partnership will be captured and established in the PPP law currently under review. 10, all monies appropriated to the Lagos State Public Procurement Agency by the Lagos State House of Assembly be first-line charge on the revenue of the state. Also, the law of the agency be amended to include a proviso that the suspension, removal, or discipline in any form of the general manager of PPA requires the resolution of this House of Assembly. 11, the House should direct the Committee on Establishment, Training and Pensions to oversight the Ministry of Establishment, Training and Pensions with respect to personnel cost projection for MDAs. 12, the 10% BSA Pension Redemption Bond Fund and Pension Redemption Bond Fund shortfall should be first-line charge on revenue of the state. 13, the electric power supply to hospitals should be migrated from 11 kVA to 33 kVA supply over the next 5 years. 14, the House should direct the Standing Committee on Special Duties to consider the operation of Mrs. Avant-Garde Management Service, AMS, vis-a-vis operation of Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LSHA Response Unit, LRU, and the State Command Center. "15, the government should ensure that all MDAs operate within their enabling laws. 16, the House of Assembly should formally inform the executive not to commit the state to any form of fiscal instrument, including irrevocable standing payment orders, without concurrence of its House of Assembly, and make same known to the corporate world too, that is, caveat emptor. 17, the House should direct the Standing Committee on Environment to look into the complaints of the Lagos Water Corporation with respect to decline in its revenue due to destruction of its water pipelines during road construction and rehabilitation by Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, Lagos State Public Works, and their contractors. 18, the House should direct the review of Lagos State Mortgage Board law with a view to cure the defects in it. 19, the House should direct an appropriate committee to look into the unauthorized payment for the Oshodi Interchange project in year 2018. 20, the House should direct an appropriate committee of the House to look into the implementation of the Public Bus Reform Program and the status of the Lagos Bus Services Limited as a limited liability company, requesting for subvention and recommend appropriately. 21, the House should direct an appropriate committee of the House to look into the ownership of Lagos Ferry Services Company Limited with a view to enacting a law to guide its operation as a corporation if it is to continue enjoying subvention and capital expenditure appropriation. 22, the House should direct that the post of general manager in the Lagos State Drivers Institute be formally filled immediately. 23, the House should direct the appropriate House committee to look into the activities of material testing laboratory from inception. 24, the House should direct an appropriate House committee to look into the usurping of the duties and functions of Infrastructure Maintenance and Regulatory Agency, LSHA, by Ibile Broadband Limited, an unknown entity to this House of Assembly or laws of Lagos State. 25, the House should direct the House Committee on Education to look into the operation and constitution of the Office of Education Quality Assurance. 26, this House should direct that all tertiary institutions' accreditation funds be domiciled with the respective institution. 27, the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget should enlighten the hospitals on the availability and operation of the Revenue Enhancement Fund so that they can take advantage of it in the year 2019 budget. 28, the House should direct the appropriate committee to look into the rice mill project with a view to determine how much of unappropriated funds had been spent on it, including borrowings, other financial obligations, and the status of the project. 29, the Ministry of Waterfront Infrastructure Development and Lands Bureau should justify the advantages of current land sharing policy of the state with respect to reclamation as against collecting land charges, while the Committee on Land should look into the documentation on total land allocation made since 1st January 2015 till 31st December 2018 with the charges. Also, the SA in charge of land and the PS of land appear before this committee, in this House of Assembly, appear on the floor of this House of Assembly to explain why they have not provided the required documentation as requested by the committee. 30, the House will direct the appropriate committee to look at sustainable cost of lighting up Lagos. 31, the Lagos State Infrastructure Management Agency should hands off the facility management of Lagos State Judiciary based on the full autonomy of the judiciary. 32, the House should cause a review of the administration of Estate Law of Lagos State 2015 so as to further make probate requests more attractive to affected persons. 33, the House should urgently direct all general managers of agencies whose law requires their appointment to be confirmed by the House of Assembly and are yet to do so to comply immediately. 34, the House should direct all standing committees to look into the confirmation status of heads of agencies under their purview and report any findings. 35, the executive arm should forward to the House the list of all such agencies of government operating with executive order only for proper legislation. 36, the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget should educate accountants and budget officers of all MDAs that the miscellaneous head is not for extra budgetary expenditure after exhausting the appropriate vote lines of expenditure and this should be discontinued immediately. 37, the House should caution for the final time accounting officers of MDAs that appropriate sanctions will be meted out for the contravention of the provisions of this law. 38, the House should direct all MDAs should submit project status report on all their projects on or before the 15th of May 2019. 39, the House should cause legislation to be made guiding the registration of limited liability companies for Lagos State government. 40. The House should cause the appropriate law on land allocation to be reviewed to guide the discounting of state land. 41. The Commissioner for Finance and the State Accountant General / Permanent Secretary should ensure the release of funds to MDAs as at when due. Also, forward a quarterly report to the House of Assembly on the financial status of the state with respect to revenue, expenditure, and debt, and the release of funds to the ministry, departments, and agency in accordance with the appropriation law. 42, all redundant vote lines be removed from the budget. And 43, the House should direct that any variation on projects embarked upon by the state government be forwarded to the House of Assembly for approval. Conclusion. The committee expresses its gratitude to Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa, and the entire House for the opportunity to work on the year 2019 appropriation bill. Also, our sincere appreciation goes to the clerk and the entire staff of the Assembly for their support in achieving this onerous task. Mr. Speaker, sir, permit me to single out the committee secretariat and other support staff who worked tirelessly to ensure this report is produced. On behalf of all the members of the Committee on Appropriation for the year 2019, I say thank you for the opportunity to serve once again. Regards. Bola Ishao, Chairman, Committee on Economic Planning and Budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We can see that they did a lot of job with the reports. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I am very sure that colleagues will agree with me that the report is voluminous, very technical, and require proper scrutiny. To that extent, Mr. Speaker, I wish to move that further debate on this report be stepped down for another day to be allotted for the report. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Lulade.
I rise to second the motion as properly moved.
All in favor say ayes. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Majority Leader.
With your permission, Mr. Speaker, may I humbly move that the House reverts to plenary.
Honorable Naim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say ayes. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, at the Committee of the Whole, the House took the report on House of Assembly Bill number 59, Public Procurement Agency Amendment Bill. The report was presented by the chairman of the committee, subsequently was debated, and motion was proposed for the recommendation in the report to be adopted as recommendation as the resolution of the House, and all such
As amended.
were adopted. After which, Mr. Speaker, we commenced Committee of Supply to listen to report of the Appropriation Committee in respect of year 2019 budget proposal. The report was presented by the chairman so well, but due to the nature of the bill, of the report, and the technicalities involved, it was proposed that further debate on it be stepped down till another date to be allocated to it. Mr. Speaker, I wish to say that that is what transpired at the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Honorable Fafumi.
Right Honorable Speaker, fellow members, I want to affirm that that was a true recap of what transpired at the two committees, the Committee of Supply and the Committee of the Whole, as being reported by the Majority Leader. Thank you.
Honorable Rahim.
I rise to have second the affirmation.
All in favor say ayes. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, next on the other paper are items under item B. First of which, Mr. Speaker, is in respect of House of Assembly Bill number 51, supported by myself, Honorable Jima, Honorable Tajusho, Honorable Kasumu, Honorable Rama, Honorable Gundi Imu, Honorable Kazim, Honorable Mohammed FJ, Honorable Adekoyi, Honorable Lawale, Honorable Akonde. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, may I move that a bill for a law for registration of domestic staff services providers in Lagos State be read for the third time. I so move.
Honorable Laiwala.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support the motion as moved by the majority. Thank you, sir.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable members, it is my honor and privilege to read for the third time a bill for a law to provide for the registration of domestic staff service providers in Lagos State and for connected purposes. Thank you, sir.
A bill for a law to provide for the regulation of domestic service providers, collection of data of domestic staff in Lagos State, and for other connected purposes. The Lagos State House of Assembly enacts as follows. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Schedule 1, page 12. Schedule 2, page 13. That's a bill for a law to provide for the registration of domestic staff service providers, collection of data of domestic staff in Lagos State, and for other connected purposes be passed into law. All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, kindly send the clean copy to His Excellency for his accent. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, next in line is House of Assembly Bill number 60, supported by myself, Honorable Jima, Honorable Abiru RL, Honorable Odunton, Honorable Merenda ML, Honorable Fafumi, Honorable OTS, Honorable Majid AF, Honorable Famakinwa AO, Honorable Adams NB. With your kind permission, Mr. Speaker, I wish to move that the Lagos State House of Assembly Service Commission Amendment Bill 2018 be read for the third time. I so move.
Honorable Naim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The motion has.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable members, with your kind permission, I read for the third time a bill for a law to amend the Lagos State House of Assembly Service Commission Law, Chapter L 34, Volume 5, Laws of Lagos State, 2015, and for connected purposes. Thank you, sir.
A bill for a law to amend Lagos State House of Assembly Service Commission Law, Chapter L 34, Volume 5, Laws of Lagos State 2015. Lagos State House of Assembly acts as follows. Page 1, page 2, page 3, that a bill for a law to amend Lagos State House of Assembly Service Commission Law, Chapter 34, Volume 5, Laws of Lagos State 2015 be passed into law. All in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, kindly send the clean copy to His Excellency, Mr. Akim Miambodi, for his assent. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, up next is House of Assembly number 61 in respect of Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps Amendment Bill, supported by myself, Honorable Jima, Honorable Teju Osho, Honorable Burama, Honorable Lulade, Honorable Buyemi Emo, Honorable Adekaye, Honorable Akonde OV, Honorable Bello A, Honorable Kasumu AR. With your kind permission, Mr. Speaker, I wish to move that Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps Amendment Bill 2018 be read for the third time. I so move.
Honorable Jude.
I rise to support the motion as moved.
All in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir. Distinguished honorable members, it is my honor and privilege to read for the third time a bill for a law to amend the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps Law 2016 for the regulation and control of neighborhood safety corps activities and for connected purposes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. A law to establish the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps Agency for the regulation and control of the safety corps activities and for connected purposes. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. That a bill for a law to establish the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps Agency for the regulation and control of the safety corps activities and for connected purposes be passed into law. All in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, kindly pass the clean copy to His Excellency, Mr. Akumi Ambode, for his assent. Thank you. Majority Leader.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Last on the list of items listed for today is in respect of House of Assembly Bill number 54. Presented by myself, Agumbade SOB, Honorable Jima OW, Honorable Abiru Arel, Honorable Dunton Oyeladun AO, Honorable Ogundi Imu O, Honorable Oshun Emo, Honorable Akonde OV, Honorable Yusuf AA. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, may I move that Public-Private Partnership Amendment Bill 2018 be read for the third time. I so move.
Honorable Victor Akande.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable members, it is my honor and privilege to read for the third time a bill for a law to amend the Lagos State Public-Private Partnership Law, Chapter P18, Volume 9, Laws of Lagos State, 2015, and for connected purposes. Thank you.
A bill for a law to provide for public-private partnership, establish the Office of Public-Private Partnership, enhance infrastructure and service development in Lagos State, and for connected purposes. The Lagos State House of Assembly enacts as follows. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. Page 16. Page 17. Page 18. Page 19. Page 20. Page 21. Page 22. Page 23. Page 24. Page 25. Page 26. Page 27. Page 28. Page 29. Page 30. That a bill for a law to provide for public-private partnership, establish the Office of Public-Private Partnership, enhance infrastructure and service development in Lagos State, and for connected purposes be passed into law. All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, kindly send the clean copy to His Excellency Mr. Kimi Ambode for his assent. Thank you very much. I thank you, distinguished colleagues. Thank you for your perseverance. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, having come to the end of the items listed for discussion today, I have the approval of the Right Honorable Speaker to move that this House adjourns till Monday, the 29th day of April at 12 noon. I so move.
Honorable Shogodara and Honorable Isha, I hope everything is okay. Honorable Lulade.
I rise to second the motion as moved.
Before the question is put, there will be a short meeting immediately after sitting. All in favor say ayes. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. This House stands adjourned to Monday, 29 April 2019 at 12 noon prompt. I rise.